Look, I've been around the galaxy a few times. Seen things that would make your average spacefarer need a new set of lower garments, if you know what I mean. But nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, prepared the Galactic Council for the discovery of Deathworld 7. Let me paint you a picture. The Galactic Council has been cataloging planets for about 40,000 standard cycles. They've got a whole classification system worked out, very official, very bureaucratic, very boring. You've got your paradise worlds, your garden worlds, your marginally habitable rocks, and then way down at the bottom of the desirability chart, you've got your death worlds. Planets where pretty much everything wants to kill you, the weather included. Deathworld 7 sat in the records like a black hole of nope. The file was marked with so many warning symbols that it looked like someone had a seizure with a hazard stamp. Estimated fatality rate for landing? 99.9%. Atmospheric composition? Actively corrosive. Native life forms? Apocalyptic nightmare fuel, the official council designation read, and I quote, "Under no circumstances should any member species attempt contact. Quarantine protocols in effect. May the stars have mercy on anyone who lands there." Dramatic, right? Just wait. It gets better. Or worse. Depending on your perspective and your sense of humor, enter Commander HFY Thor of the Celestial Survey Corps, a four-armed Valkyrian who had seen approximately 300 planets in his career and had never once broken protocol. Never. His record was spotless, his uniform was spotless, even his secondary breathing apparatus was spotless. The guy was basically the poster child for doing everything by the book. His crew, however, was a different story. There was Pip-Ta, a gelatinous corpsman who had the unfortunate habit of turning transparent when nervous, which meant you could see all her internal organs doing their thing. Delightful at dinner parties, let me tell you. Then you had Gormak, a 8-foot-tall crustacean-looking fellow from Shellcar who talked a big game about being fearless but slept with a night light. And finally, Zilra, a reptilian Soros who questioned everything and everyone, mostly because her species had trust issues spanning back 6,000 years of evolutionary paranoia. HFY Thor stood before them in the briefing room, pulling up the holographic display of Deathworld 7. The planet rotated there, looking deceptively beautiful with its blue and green coloring, swirling white atmospheric patterns, and that lovely pale satellite orbiting nearby. Right, HFY Thor clicked his mandibles nervously. Mission parameters are simple. We observe from orbit, collect data, update the records, and leave. We do not, under any circumstances, land on the surface. Clear. Pip-Ta immediately went transparent. Through her quivering form, you could see what might have been her equivalent of a stomach doing backflips. "Commander," she burbled, "the files say the atmospheric oxygen concentration is 21%. 21%. That's enough to corrode our ship's hull in concentrated form." "And the gravity," Gormak added, his voice shaking despite his massive claws. "It's 1.0 standard G. That's crushing force for half the species in the council." Zilra hissed, her scales rippling. The tectonic activity alone shows continental plates actively grinding against each other. The planet is literally tearing itself apart constantly. "Precisely why we stay in orbit," HFY Thor said firmly, though his third arm was trembling slightly. "Scan, catalog, leave. Easy assignment." In the back, a junior technician fainted. Nobody blamed him. The scans started coming in, and honestly, it was like watching a horror movie where every new scene is worse than the last. "Commander," Pip-Ta's voice wavered as she read the atmospheric analysis, now completely see-through with terror. "Confirming oxygen levels at 21%. The entire atmosphere is a slow-burn oxidizer. Everything on that planet is constantly rusting, decaying, being eaten away by the very air." Zilra pulled up the weather patterns, her scales flashing warning colors. "Look at this atmospheric monster forming over the Western Ocean. Wind speeds exceeding 300 units per hour, electrical discharge in the millions of volts, precipitation levels that could flood entire valleys. They happen seasonally, added Gormak, reading the historical data patterns. The planet generates these doom spirals on a regular basis. They even have categories for them. Categories. Like they're so common they need organizing. Zewexthor felt his third stomach churning. The planet had a ring of active volcanic zones circling an entire ocean basin. An entire ring of mountains that regularly exploded with molten rock. The geological data showed the surface was broken into massive plates that ground against each other constantly, building up pressure until the planet literally cracked open and bled magma. What kind of cursed rock generates its own internal heat and then vents it through thousands of structural weak points, he muttered, but the real nightmare fuel came when they started cataloging the life forms. Quadrupedal apex predators, Pipta reported, her voice barely above a whisper. They hunt in coordinated family units, can run for extended periods, have reinforced calcium-based tearing implements in their mouths, and they communicate with pack calls that can be heard for standard miles. She was describing wolves. She was absolutely terrified of what amounted to large dogs. Massive herbivores with armored skin, elongated nasal appendages used as weapons, and tusks made of compressed mineral. That would be elephants, folks. She made elephants sound like siege weapons. Gormak was sweating through his shell plates. I'm reading thousands of species with venom delivery systems. Fangs, stingers, barbs, spines. There are tiny flying insects that can cause fatal allergic reactions. Flying death needles. Bees. He was losing his mind over bees. There are 8-legged ambush predators that create trap networks, Zilare hissed. Some of them are venomous enough to liquefy internal tissues. Spiders. The galaxy's mighty survey team was having a collective breakdown over spiders. And the plant life, Pipta added, some of it has chemical defense mechanisms, thorns, or allergenic properties. Oh no, not roses and poison ivy. How would the galaxy ever survive? But here's the kicker, the real punchline that none of them had gotten to yet. Every single scan was also picking up something else. Cities. Agriculture. Technology. Orbital satellites, something lived down there. Something had not just survived but thrived on this nightmare ball of death, and that's when things got really interesting. Commander. Zilare's voice had gone up about 3 octaves. I'm detecting sentient life on the surface. The bridge went dead silent. You could have heard a pin drop, if pins made noise in the vacuum of space, which they don't, but you get the idea. Zewexthor's all 4 arms froze mid-gesture. That's impossible. Nothing sentient could evolve in those conditions. I'm looking right at them, sir. Thermal signatures, electromagnetic emissions consistent with technology, structural formations indicating urban development. They're there. They're real. And they're everywhere. Pipta brought up the bioscan data, and promptly turned so transparent she was practically invisible. By the stars. They breathe the oxygen. They don't just tolerate it, they require it. Their cellular respiration is based on oxidizing organic compounds. They're literally burning fuel inside their bodies to stay alive. That's not the worst part, Gormak rumbled, his claws clicking nervously against the console. They consume other organic life forms. They tear apart plant and animal tissue with their face holes, grind it with calcium deposits in their mouths, dissolve it with acid in an internal chamber, and extract nutrients from the decomposing matter. Let me be clear here. They were describing eating. Basic consumption of food. And they made it sound like something out of a torture manual. They voluntarily exposed themselves to the radiation from their star, Zilare added, pulling up recreational footage they'd intercepted. Look at this. They're laying motionless on reflective surfaces, maximizing exposure to ultraviolet radiation. Some of them appear to be enjoying it. Sunbathing. The monsters were horrified by sunbathing, the anatomical scans were somehow worse. Internal skeletal structure, Pipta whispered. They have rigid calcium frameworks inside their soft tissue, just suspended there in the meat. When they move, they're articulating these hard internal supports through muscular contraction. And their regenerative capabilities are terrifying, Gormak added. Readings show they can sustain tissue damage, leak their internal fluids, and continue functioning. They have a pressurized circulatory system that automatically seals minor breaches. Their pain response doesn't shut them down, it just alerts them to damage. ZWX-Thor leaned closer to the display, watching footage of a human jogging through a park. The biped moved with efficient bipedal locomotion, maintained core temperature through a bizarre water excretion cooling system, and had forward-facing eyes like a predator. Stereoscopic vision, he noted, his voice hollow. Persistence hunter physiology. Sweat-based thermoregulation allowing for extended pursuit of prey. Opposable digits for tool manipulation. A human stopped jogging, pulled out a water bottle, and took a drink. It's hydrating, Pipta observed. Just casually consuming oxidized hydrogen in the open atmosphere. What are these things? Zilare breathed. The computer helpfully provided a translation from one of the intercepted broadcasts, species designation, human, planet designation, Earth. Earth, ZWX-Thor repeated slowly. They named their Deathworld dirt. They literally call it dirt. Nobody laughed. It wasn't funny yet. Give it a few more minutes. So here's where everything went spectacularly wrong, in that special way that only catastrophic incompetence can achieve. Junior Technician Blorp, the same guy who'd fainted earlier, was running a routine stabilizer check. Routine. Standard procedure. Except Blorp species has 7 fingers, and the console was designed for species with 5, and he got confused about which button did what. Instead of adjusting the orbital stabilizers, he activated the emergency atmospheric entry sequence. What did you do? ZWX-Thor shrieked as alarms blared throughout the ship. I don't know. Blorp wailed. It looked like the right button. We're entering the atmosphere, Gormak announced, because apparently someone needed to state the obvious while they were all about to die. Brace for impact. The ship hit Earth's atmosphere like a brick thrown into a pond, except the brick was screaming and the pond was full of corrosive oxygen that was now leaking into the cabin through a dozen microfractures. They crashed in what appeared to be a suburban park. You know, green grass, walking paths, a playground, someone's dog doing its business near a tree. Completely mundane. Utterly terrifying to the aliens, the crew stumbled out of the smoking wreckage, their emergency breathers hissing as they tried to filter the deadly oxygen to safer levels. Survival protocol, ZWX-Thor gasped. Stay together. Avoid the natives. Wait for rescue. That's when Marcus Chen showed up. Marcus was a 32-year-old accountant who'd been having a pleasant Saturday morning jog. He saw a spacecraft crash into the park. Did he run away screaming? No. Because humans are idiots who run toward danger with helpful intentions. Oh my God, are you okay? Marcus jogged up to them, breathing that horrible corrosive atmosphere like it was nothing. The crew screamed. All of them. Even Gormak, who was supposed to be the tough one. It's approaching. Pipta squealed, now completely invisible except for her organs. Showing teeth. Marcus was smiling. He was literally just smiling in a friendly manner. Hey, it's okay. Marcus raised his hands in what he thought was a peaceful gesture. The alien saw a predator displaying its grasping appendages with opposable thumbs. Threat display. Zilare hissed, backing away. Marcus reached into his jacket pocket. The aliens nearly died right there. He pulled out a water bottle. You look overheated. Want some water? It's offering us oxidized hydrogen. Gormak bellowed. It's trying to poison us. What? Marcus blinked, confused, then little Emma Rodriguez appeared, 7 years old, gap-toothed, wearing a unicorn t-shirt. She'd been playing on the swings when aliens crashed into her park, and this was officially the best Saturday ever. "Daddy, can I pet them?" she called back to her father, already running toward the huddled aliens. "Miniature human incoming!" Pip-Ta screamed. "They reproduce. There are more of them." Emma stopped, tilting her head. "You guys are funny looking. Are you from space? That's so cool." She reached out to touch Gormak's shell. The 8-foot warrior from Shellcar whimpered and hid behind Zwextor, and then, because the universe has a absolutely vicious sense of humor, a golden retriever bounded up to investigate the commotion. "Apex predator!" Zilare shrieked. "Pack hunter engaging!" The dog, whose name was Sir Fluffington and whose greatest achievement was once eating an entire pizza off the counter, wagged his tail and panted happily. "Assessing prey." Gormak translated the tail wag. "Preparing attack protocols." Sir Fluffington sneezed, the entire alien crew hit the ground, covering their heads. Marcus looked at his dog, looked at the terrified aliens, looked at his daughter, and slowly began to realize that something was very, very lost in translation here. "Okay," he said carefully. "I'm just going to call someone about this. Nobody move. Emma, stop trying to hug the shaking crab man." "But Daddy, he's scared." "Yes, Emma." Yes, he was. 2 hours later, the crew found themselves in Marcus's living room, which was somehow more terrifying than the crash. "Make yourselves comfortable," Marcus said, gesturing to his couch. "I called the, appropriate authorities. They'll be here soon. Anyone want coffee? Snacks?" "He's offering us consumables," Zilare hissed to the others. Classic predator behavior. Fatten the prey before the kill. Marcus brought out a tray of cookies, fruit, and cheese. Normal Earth hospitality. The aliens stared at it like he'd presented them with live grenades. "This is your dwelling?" Zwextor asked, his voice shaking as he looked around the suburban home. "Your residential habitat?" "Yeah, just a regular house. 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Nothing special." "Nothing special," Pip-Ta echoed faintly. "This structure would house an entire colony unit on my world." "You live here alone?" "Oh, no. Me, my wife, and Emma." 3 beings, Gormak whispered. 3 beings occupy this fortress." Emma bounced into the room, already having accepted aliens as totally normal. "Mommy's on her way home from yoga. She's gonna be so excited. We never get visitors from space." "Yoga?" Zilare queried. "Yeah, it's exercise. Mom says it helps with the back pain she got from that car accident last year." "Accident?" Zwextor leaned forward. "She was injured?" "Oh yeah, broke 3 ribs and her collarbone. She was back at work in like 6 weeks though." The aliens exchanged horrified glances. "Broken skeletal structures. Multiple fractures. Back to normal activity in 6 weeks," Marcus chuckled, pulling up his sleeve. "Yeah, humans are pretty resilient. See this scar? Broke my arm in 3 places when I was 12. Fell out of a tree." "You climbed a tree?" Pip-Ta burbled. "Voluntarily? I mean, I was a kid. Kids do dumb stuff." He scrolled through his phone. "Oh man, check this out. My brother does parkour. That's him jumping between buildings." He showed them a video. Gormak made a sound like a tea kettle dying. "And this is from our trip to Thailand last year. We did this insane zipline over a canyon. Emma was too young, but next time for sure. You launch yourselves across chasms," Zilare said slowly, "for recreation." "Well, yeah. It's fun. Oh, and we did this spicy noodle challenge. The Carolina Reaper sauce nearly killed me, but I finished the bowl." He showed them a photo of himself, face red, sweating profusely, giving a thumbs up. "Good times." You consumed chemical irritants, HFY clarified, that caused a pain response, and you considered this enjoyable. I mean, when you put it that way it sounds weird. Emma piped up. I got stung by a bee at school last week. It hurt really bad but the nurse gave me ice and I was fine. Venom, Pipta whispered. Injected venom. Fine. Marcus's phone buzzed. Oh, Sarah wants to know if she should pick up pizza for everyone. You guys eat pizza, right? Wait, what do you eat? Processed nutrient paste, Gormak admitted. Carefully formulated to avoid toxins. That sounds depressing. Sir Fluffington wandered in and laid his head on Zillare's lap. The reptilian alien froze completely. Ah, he likes you. Emma grinned. Sir Fluffington is the sweetest. He's afraid of everything though. Last week he got scared of his own reflection. This apex predator, Zillare said carefully, is afraid of himself? He's not a predator, silly. He's a golden retriever. They're basically just love on 4 legs. Marcus scratched the dog's ears. We had a cat too, but she passed away last year. 15 years old. Emma's still not over it. You formed an emotional attachment, ZWXthor said slowly, to a small carnivore, and mourned its death. Well, yeah. She was family. And that's when it clicked. All of it. The whole insane picture. Humans didn't just survive their death world. They thrived on it. They loved it. They turned danger into entertainment, predators into companions, and challenges into hobbies. They were the apex species not despite their planet's hostility, but because of it. By the stars, ZWXthor breathed. You're not trapped here. This is your home. Marcus looked confused. I mean, yeah. Earth's pretty great. Why would we want to be anywhere else? The aliens had no answer for that. Sarah Chen arrived home 20 minutes later, walked in to find aliens on her couch, and immediately said, "Oh wonderful, Marcus finally made friends. Do you guys want regular or gluten-free pizza?" While they waited for food that would probably kill them, Emma pulled out her tablet to show the aliens her favorite animal videos. This is my favorite, she squealed, showing them a video of a marine biologist swimming with a great white shark. That's a apex marine predator, Pipta said weakly. With multiple rows of serrated teeth designed to tear flesh. Yeah, but look how gentle she is. Her name's Mary. The scientist has been visiting her for like 10 years. Sarah leaned over. Oh, I love these videos. There's that guy in Alaska who's friends with a whole family of bears. Hold on, let me find it. She pulled up footage of a man playing with grizzly bears like they were puppies. Megafauna. Gormak bellowed. Territorial. Aggressive. That human should be dead. Nah, he raised them from cubs. They trust him completely. Zillare's scales were flashing every color of distress her species could produce. You bond with predators? We bond with everything, Marcus said cheerfully. People have pet snakes, spiders, even wolves. Well, wolf hybrids. Actual wolves are illegal in most places. We tried to make friends with one of the Mars rovers, Sarah added. We named it and celebrated its birthday. It's a robot and we threw it a party. We also, Marcus continued, pulling up more pictures, felt really bad about hunting some animals too much, so now we have entire organizations dedicated to protecting them. See these wolves? Nearly extinct 100 years ago. Now we're bringing them back. ZWXthor's brain was breaking. You nearly eliminated a competing predator species, then decided you missed them, and now you're repopulating them? Well yeah, Emma said, like it was obvious. They're important for the ecosystem. Plus they're beautiful. We do that with a lot of species, Sarah said. Whales, tigers, pandas, eagles. We mess up, we feel bad, we fix it. It's kind of our thing. Pipta finally spoke, her voice filled with something between awe and existential terror. You're capable of tremendous destruction and tremendous compassion simultaneously. I mean, I guess? Marcus shrugged. We're complicated. You're insane, Zilare corrected. Your entire species is clinically insane. That's fair, Sarah nodded. But we're friendly insane. Usually. Gormak looked at Sir Fluffington, who was now sleeping upside down on the couch, paws in the air, tongue hanging out. You took wolves, the pack hunters we detected from orbit, and turned them into that? 15,000 years of selective breeding, Marcus said proudly. We made them cute. Why? All four of Zwexthor's arms spread in confusion. Why would you do any of this? Emma looked up at him with those forward-facing predator eyes that somehow conveyed nothing but warmth. Because it's nice to have friends. And there it was. The ultimate horror. Humans didn't just survive through violence and adaptation. They survived through connection, empathy, and the inexplicable need to befriend literally everything they encountered. The galaxy's most dangerous species was also its most aggressively friendly. The aliens didn't know whether to run away screaming or ask for a hug. 3 days later, after the rescue ship arrived and the crew had undergone extensive psychological evaluation, Zwexthor sat down to file his official report. His hands, all four of them, trembled over the keyboard. Official survey. Report, Deathworld, 7 UPDAT planet designation, Deathworld, 7, classification HFY RMED local designation, Earth, native species, humans, Homo sapiens. Threat level, EXTREM. Zwexthor paused, his mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Then he continued typing. Amendment to previous records, Deathworld, 7 hosts a thriving sentient species that has not only adapted to but mastered their hostile environment. Humans are persistence predators with advanced tool use capabilities, complex social structures, and a biochemistry based on oxygen metabolism. Critical advisory, humans display unprecedented pack bonding behavior. They will attempt to befriend anything, including survey teams. Do not be alarmed by offerings of food, requests to pet you, or introductions to their adopted predators, referred to as pets. Approach protocol, extreme caution recommended. Bring snacks. They respond well to snacks. Warning, humans consider physical danger recreational. Their concept of fun includes activities that would constitute suicide attempts for most species. Priority note, despite capacity for extreme violence, humans demonstrate remarkable compassion and protective instincts. Threat assessment remains high, but hostility probability is low. Assuming friendly contact. He sent the report to the Galactic Council and waited. The response came back in 4 hours. It was one line. You're joking. Zwexthor sent back footage. All of it. The jogging. The dog. Emma trying to hug Gormak. The man swimming with sharks. The council's second response took 6 hours. Emergency session called. Also, the humans are requesting to speak with us. Turns out, Earth had been monitoring the whole thing. They'd watched the ship crash, observed the first contact disaster, and decided it was time to introduce themselves properly to the galactic neighborhood. Their opening message was perfect in its simplicity. Hi. We're your new neighbors. Want to be friends? The council's official response, after 3 days of debate, yes, but please keep your pets at home during diplomatic functions. Earth's counteroffer, we'd love to help with galactic peacekeeping operations. And that's how the galaxy's most dangerous Deathworld became its protector. Because of course humans, absolute mad lads that they are, looked at a galaxy full of different species and thought, yeah, we should probably make sure everyone's okay. The council agreed, mostly because saying no to humans seemed like a terrible idea. 6 months later, human peacekeepers were stationed at key galactic outposts, solving conflicts through a combination of overwhelming capability and aggressive friendliness that nobody knew how to counter. Deathworld, 7, the most feared planet in the records, became the place everyone wanted as an ally and nobody wanted as an enemy. Turns out the secret to galactic peace was letting the Deathworld survivors handle it. Who knew? 6 months after first contact, HFY found himself stationed at Galactic Outpost Kepler 442, which had somehow become the unofficial hub for human-alien relations that he watched as Captain Jennifer Martinez walked into the council chamber for a security briefing, a corgi waddling behind her. "Captain," HFY sighed. "We discussed the pet policy. Sir Barkington is an emotional support animal," Jennifer said with a completely straight face. "Regulations allow it." The corgi immediately made friends with 3 different species, 2 of whom had previously considered canines terrifying apex predators. Now they were taking photos. Pipta had started a human food blog. Gormak joined a CrossFit gym that humans ran on the station, and somehow survived. Zilra was dating a botanist from Denver and complaining constantly about how humans just throw seeds in dirt and hope for the best. The mess hall now served coffee, which 17 species had gotten addicted to despite it technically being a stimulant poison. Earth had submitted an official application to host the next Galactic Summit. The proposed location was a place called Disney World. The council was still trying to figure out if that was a good idea or a catastrophically bad one. HFY watched Sir Barkington steal a sandwich off someone's plate and get away with it because he was too cute to stay mad at. He pulled up his personal log and typed, "Day gravitational rotation, humans have successfully weaponized adorableness. The galaxy never stood a chance." Somewhere in the background, a human started teaching the corpsman how to make pizza. The galaxy would never be the same, and honestly, that was probably for the best.